Good morning. Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon. I know our usual time is about 11:30, 11:15, but we've had a few incidents. We had Rasha, the other co-host. She lost her grandma today, and so she's in Mississippi, for funeral arrangements. And so Dewey, the other co-host, will be on later on today. So we have co-host Sakina Rock. How are you today, sis?
Yay, yay. Thank you for having me today. It's been going. It's been going. It's cold, right?
It's cold. It's
Getting
cold.
that snow in. Yes, it's cold. So
I
yeah,
know it's so funny because you and I are both from the Midwest, yet we get a lot less snow because you're upper Midwest and I'm lower Midwest.
yeah, we
And
said
so,
we share the same river, right?
right,
That
and
Missouri
you
River.
all get a lot of snow where we get very little, especially these days. I know that's something we talked about before on your show, how, the lower Midwest has seen a lot less snow in years than it has forever. Like this is definitely unbelievable. The little snow that we've gotten since 2013.
Listen, I think y'all been experiencing a little more of the colder temperature, not to have no snow though.
Yeah, the temperatures are cold, but the snow is just not coming. I know we're
Hmm.
supposed to get some sprinkles this week, but that's just sprinkles. Normally, we would have gotten lots of snow. Like back in 2013, we were getting feet of it, right? And so now we're
Hmm.
getting very little. Didn't have the white Christmas wasn't as white and so forth and so on. By the time it comes down to the ground, it's not sticking.
Wow.
And so the climate change that you all were talking about is a real thing, and
Yeah.
that's something that you and Roundtable Gang have mentioned before about climate change and how much it really is affecting everyone from state to state.
Yeah, it's been they really starting to I've heard Skype, I love watching Skype news. Um they
Mm,
they really been talking about cloud seeding over the last couple of days now.
mm,
Yeah, but they're
yeah,
speaking more positive, I guess because a lot of more people are trying to pick up on it. But again, notice it doesn't uh produce water.
yeah,
You see what I'm
yeah,
saying? And so that's the thing. It doesn't produce it. It's almost like saying high blood pressure. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't produce water. You need something to release the water. And cloud
mm,
seeding doesn't produce water. It just holds it and crystallizes it. And then later on, it impacts other conditions later on, and it may flood out something or
yeah,
produce water somewhere else. And this is the problem. And so
yeah, yeah.
I don't want to take over this, but I want to land with this. They're saying Brazil, some of these places that got floods, we have a shortage of coffee and things of this nature now. So,
Mhm. Well,
go
okay.
ahead.
Well, I know everyone can kind of like hear, my energy is really low from all of these things going on at work that is really affecting employees, especially federal employees, right now, impacting us in such a way where we've never been in these harsh conditions before, right? People join the government or a federal or state or county job for the stability of it. And so now our stability is being threatened by a lot of policy that's being imposed on us. And so it is quite the time to be in, and me as a manager or supervisor, in my workplace, there's always a ton of questions every day about what is this DRP, which is the acronyms for deferred resignation, program. What is it going to look like in our workplace? What does the future really hold for us? And so that is a question that is remaining to be seen at the current moment. So, but what I will do today is kind of go over again some what the judge has halted, right, concerning the DRP program, which is again the acronym for Deferred Resignation Program. And come Monday, they halted it till Monday. And Monday, what does that look like? Right. So come Monday, Tuesday, what is the results of all of this? And then how will we be impacted some more? Because right now we're impacted, right? We have probationary people that are possibly impacted. We have our retirement folks, which are impacted in one fashion, form, or another, whether it's in a good way or a bad way, they're still impacted. And then you have all of us who are sandwiched in between. Anybody who's been in those agencies, federal agencies, 15, 20, 25, 30 years, what is it going to look like? So there's a lot of rapid workforce changes right now happening in the workplace. And so I thought today, because I, don't have everyone here for, a full conversation, just still go into some of the things that are happening and how it makes an impact in the workforce today.
Can I ask you something really fast?
Yeah,
I
sure.
heard them throwing it back around that word that you discussed. What was that word?
Oligarchy,
Oligarchy. Yes, they've been
the
throwing that
oligarchy.
around, especially on Ronald Martin. So before you open up, can you get into that a little bit again and then start this off? Because again, they've been throwing that around a lot. And so can you kind of tap into that a little bit and then get into this for me, please?
Yeah. So
Okay, thank you.
first, one of the other shows, but which was the definition of oligarchy,
Okay,
right? So let me share the screen here.
all right.
So oligarchy. Oligarchy is a small group of people having control of a country, organization, or institution. The ruling oligarchy is military men around the president. So, or a country governed by an oligarchy or a government by the oligarchy, which is definitely a power structure, right? And so it's a small number of billionaires or rich people who essentially runs the government. Okay, so without any money, you can't be considered an oligarchy, right? These are people who have complete power. These are people who are nobility. These are people who are political. These are people who are military strong, military heavy. These are people like Musk and Gates, people who have money enough to buy their way. Technically, that's what they're doing, buying their way in the lives of people, right? They're fully inserting themselves in. Most of them have no working knowledge or background, but the money rules. Money is power. I think when we brought this definition, when I first brought this definition up, I was asking everyone here what age did they think this was in, and everyone kept saying the age of technology, the age of AI, and no, this is the age of power and money. And so the oligarchies are taking over, have taken over, and they're certain their authority and money all over the place. And most people who you're seeing buying into this notion are people who have been paid off. So when people say, "Hey, we a lot of Republicans or Democrats, or a lot of people who were really opposed to his structure of his way of life." Him restructuring our lives and restructuring our workforce. A lot of them have a lot to say, but you notice when people stay quiet, more than likely it's because they've been paid off. And so now you just see them lurking kind of like in the shadows as opposed to being in the forefront, really talking about some of these issues, trying to stop these oligarchies from taking over. All the people his nominees, all of those people have money and wealth behind them, right? They're part of an oligarchical system, and
Mhm.
so they have money. So the person who he wants to be over NASA, he's a young billionaire, right? The person he wants to be over the DOJ and the DOE and every other place. These people don't have a political background. Most of them have money. And so this is the age of money and power. And so he is throwing his money and power all over the place, in regardless to a working background or a foreknowledge of the thing he's taken over.
Mhm.
And so that is the oligarchy. And I told you a while back that you would be hearing this word more and more and more,
Come
because
on.
it's very important to understand, who is taking over, who is taking over, what is taking over. And so having a background understanding of what an oligarchy is, and then you see it in real time, um, all of the policies they're pushing, things that just don't make sense because they don't have a working background of the thing. They're saying, hey, my money is caused to restructure it all, right? I just restructured in my image. Forget about the people's image. This is my image, my money, my say.
Mhm. Yes. I just wanted to kind of want to reiterate that because I do see that happening and hear it more and more. And yes, thank you. Because I think we seeing it more, and I think we're finna tap into it real good right now. Thank you for doing that for me.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's also pretty sad too, um, that money and power has its place here because 47 has had 4 years, to replan um, what didn't work the first time, and it almost seems as if uh, that was also a plan, right? To pretend to lose, to Biden until he got his things in working order the way he wanted to present it. I don't know, and that's some of the things that's going on in the workforce right now. So now when you go to the OPM and you open up OPM has been totally scrubbed, right? It has been scrubbed to read as if all of these things has already been going on when it hasn't. This has only just been since January the 20th, yet it's reading as if it's always been a thing. And so that tells me that it's done already. Everything has been put in place. All of the new policies have been put in place. And this is a distraction to keep us, something to keep us bickering back and forth until it's all said and done, right? Because there's no way that language can read from a past tense to a present tense. And it wasn't there last year, wasn't there the year before, but here it is in black and white, and it takes precedent over our job functions and how we're going to be working. And so I found that very, very interesting that none of that wording didn't have any parenthesis in it, like this is what it was and this is what it is right now. All of it is in a present working tense form. And so that tells me it's done already. And so right now we're just fussing back and forth and bickering back and forth. Sometimes that is definitely used as a distraction while they're finished implementing the full process,
Makes sense. Makes good sense.
you know. And
Hmm.
so that is what's going on right now. So again, my energy is down because usually I'm all up in arms, ready to fight and
Tired.
shot and
Tired.
right? I'm usually right, screaming and hollering all over the damn place. But again, it's taken so much, from us. This last week was so hard, right? I mean, it was so hard to get through this week. I barely got enough to sleep, barely got enough to eat, barely got enough water, and all of that from
Mhm.
so many things going on all at one time. So the very first thing I want to sit here, I'm going to sit and share with you guys is we're going to go over the Fed Smith. So Fed Smith is reputable a reputable source if you want to get federal information. This is what Fed source is from. So two things on here. I wanted to go over this evaluating employee and HR merit system, right? Wanted to go in and show people how some of this has changed and what it's going to look like when you're a workforce. So this is all to stay. And thank you everyone for joining in today. Again, if you're joining in for the first time and um, and it's definitely the energy has changed. You can clearly see it. You can feel it. I'm feeling it. There's so much to sit here and cover
Right.
and talk about. And in the same breath, you know, me catching my breath is truly needed.
Mhm.
That works. Kick me right out.
What?
It sure did. Kick me right out. So let's see. Let's try this again. Up, up. It's still spinning.
Yeah.
Looks
I'm trying to rock with satellite issues and everything. My internet was down all day yesterday till about 5:30 or 4.
like
Whenever I was able
issues
to,
here now.
yeah, whenever I was
What
able
is
to,
this really looking like? Let's see. Because I know I've been having problems with StreamYard today. Anytime I went to go click anything else, it was just kicking me out of StreamYard and has small glitches for a second. Let's see if I can get this anything going. It looks like it's pulled up, it's just not showing on screen. Are you able to? Yeah, yeah, it's gonna kick me out.
mm, Oh, yeah, this stream, it's just the whole internet thing. I was yesterday I couldn't watch TV. Only thing I was able to do was mobile phone. I think I had the blue, what they call that hotspot to my uh internet. But then you had the hotspot, and then it was hotspot and everything. Hotspot everything on my phone.
Okay.
The hotspot everything on my
Okay.
computer.
Yeah, it is kicking. Yeah, it's not even that. It is, I think it's StreamYard. I've been having problems with StreamYard um all day
Hmm.
since I first turned this thing on about 10 o'clock. It was kicking me out, kicking me out of the whole, kicking me offline. So let's see if I can get anything going here. And hopefully if it kicks me out again, then I can again, I'm going back to that date that I had here on the 15th. Nope. Look at it. Ah.
Hmm.
Mm-mm-mm. Yep, there's a reason for everything. There is a reason.
Right.
Okay, so on the side here, I pulled up the judge halts the DRP. So it says, yes, a federal judge has temporarily halted the Trump's administration's deferred resignation program. The judge issued a temporary restraining order extending the deadline for federal workers to decide whether to accept the buyout offer. So those who've been not keeping up, we got emails about a buyout, and the buyout had a deadline originally of February the 6th. But as soon as people were, on that day, there were lots of people who were signing the resignation. And then a judge swooped in about 3 o'clock or so and halted it and said that was not
Hmm.
enough time for people to decide whether or not they wanted to take the buyout. And so they were going to extend it. Plus, you had people like our unions, they were filing lots of orders and conjunctions and all type of stuff to sit here and halt that decision. They were saying it was parts of it was illegal, other parts of the language was unclear. There was a lot of things going on. So the deferred resignation program, it offered employees 8 months of pay and 8 months of benefits if they resign. Well, our unions were swooping in saying, hey, you know what, there's no money bagging that up. There is no money, so he's going to just stiff you, and it's going to be a total waste, and people are doing this, and people need to stand their ground, and they shouldn't resign. Well, the problem with that, right, because they were saying that it lacked guaranteed funding. The problem with that is that if you were a employee who really had under a year, a resignation is would have been a good thing for them, right? They would have given them 8 months of annual, 8 months of sick, and also 8 months of still unemployment that they will be accruing until they can find another job, right? So the resignation for anyone who was there less than a year in a federal status, and again, most of them too were seasonals and temps, and there were very few people who were permanent because of that. Most of the time, when you come into our system of things, there's about a year of probation, anyways. Some probationary, different departments may have different dates, 90 days, maybe, things like that. But for the most part, it's pretty much always been a year. So if you've been there less than a year and you were offered this program to resign, it's a good deal for people. I really feel like it's a great deal for people who were just now joining the federal workforce in any capacity, right? And so also too for our retirees, the way it would have went is the retirees could have still under a VERA program, could have still resigned, got 8 additional months of, again, annual sick, a 401k built into their retirement, and still can retire. And it gave them an earlier time to retire. They've raised the limit to retire from 62 to 67, right? And a lot of people did not want to work those extra 5 years, right? They were like, listen, like, I'm standing here in extra changes, and this year is a ginormous jump. 67 is a long time. So here comes this deferred resignation program that had a couple of retirements built into it. They had one that if you were at least 50 years of age and had 20 years of service, you could have retired out, right? Then there's your regular ones for all the people who were planning on retiring by December. They still could have benefited from this program as well, because now you don't have to wait till December to retire. You could have retired right now and still got 8 months of 401k additionally added to your retirement package. Then there's us that are sandwiched in between, right? 15 years, 20 years, 25 years of service, people 30 years. And we're not quite ready to retire, and we're not exactly brand new. Well, then this doesn't work for us, right? Because, we stand too much to lose in between time. And also, if we did, by some odd reason, if we were laid off, we still have all of those years of unemployment. That is a cushion. The problem is with our first year people who've only been with the government a year or less, if they hadn't had another job that provided longevity for to create a cushion of unemployment, it's not beneficial to hang in a federal system like this, because you have no dog in this fight, and you have less protection, and you don't have very much unemployment. But if you have unemployment cushion, for the fallout, then it's okay. Hang on in here, because you've had other jobs where you've worked long periods of time, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, that kind of thing, to be able to help you out. But for us, no matter which way you slice it, we're going to be okay because we have other protections in place. And so this DRP, the deferred resignation program, doesn't quite work for everyone, right? It's different strokes for different folks. But we've had the union, which is called the NTEU, to come in, swoop in, and speak for everyone. And not everyone is thrilled about that, right? Because they leave out a bunch of information. Their information is a one size fit all. It really is prolonging the people who wanted to retire and retire right away. It's holding them up as well. And so not everyone is happy about this. You have a mixed bunch of people here with a lot of things to sit and say. So if you can imagine what I'm talking about, imagine a work day with all this going on. Imagine a work day, in my workforce, and you have all of this stuff going on. It's real thick in the office these days. Very, very draining slowly. It's like a slow drain, like a slow drip that just won't stop dripping. And so there is a lot going on. So I wanted to pull up Ben Smith over here, because I want people to, I wanted to go over the buyout and what people have had about this uh, about this buyout and how they actually feel about it. So let's see if it'll act right, because I know every time I'm pressing any kind of button, it's wanting to kick me out of all of StreamYard. I'm pressing buttons. Let's see if I can sit here. If it'll cut out one tab. Oh no, there's still. Okay. Okay. Let's see if it will just share only that. And then let's see if it'll keep me alive here on StreamYard without kicking me all the way out today. So this is only on the performance, so it hasn't moved. It hasn't moved at all. Okay, and so since it's still here in performance, bless you, since I can't get anything else.
Kicked her out again. Mm-hmm. After these messages, we'll be right back. Yeah, she'll be right back in a second. I really blame the internet for this. As we know, we've been having some problems with this weather and the storms and satellite issues. We've shown that on Smoking Conversation. So again, I'm gonna say we have some issues with due to weather. We know this. So and we're gonna say everybody knows due to weather conditions and whatnot, we have satellite issues, stream issues, internet issues, cable issues, and so this is no different than any other thing. I had internet issues yesterday, and so the only thing that was working was my phone. Cable issues, not internet issues. Like I said, I was hotspotting from my phone to my internet, and then just to hotspot everything that was on my Chrome. After a while, I had to keep re-hotspotting. Hey, doing Gemini be here in a minute. She gonna let you in. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Gemini be back in a minute. She she got bumped out with her presentation.
Okay.
Yeah. So how's it been?
Oh, it's pretty. Oh, it's pretty busy today because everybody getting geared up for that Super Bowl tomorrow. So yeah, I would have been here a long time ago, but them lines are just super long.
Yeah, she told me that Missouri is one of the fan base states, one of the top fan base states, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So
Yes.
So yeah, we're kind of up there on the map a little bit now. So yeah, we're excited about that.
Yes. Peace, by the Most High. Thank you for
Absolutely.
joining.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So how's things in North Dakota?
Like everywhere else, it's colder.
I can imagine it does get cold where you at. Wow.
Yes, I said a few months ago they implemented a law. I think it was in late October, 1st of November, that they can't do homeless here. Anybody that comes here that's homeless, they gotta send them back to wherever they came from.
Whoa.
Because it gets 50, 60 below zero here.
Oh,
and
you can die in that. Yeah, that is.
yeah, people have died. They have found them dead in cars, and yeah, you can freeze. You can literally freeze to death.
Oh God, yes.
And so
that's the kind of cold that'll kill you.
Yes, and they have seen people. It's really hard to claim for them to shut down here. You know how you shut down in most states.
Yeah.
I remember one year they had 6 snow plows, and this is what I call ridiculous. 6 snow plows simultaneously on one street. It might have been a busy street, but it was still one street. 3 on one side plowing, 3 on the other side plowing. Whoa. And we were coming down the other street, and everybody on the street, we literally got out and helped each other, because when they plowed this street, Main Street, I think it might have been called University, and the other street was maybe 35th or Dimmers. And when all this snow goes one way, you see what I'm saying? Then the other Main Street gets these long pillars of snow.
Oh yeah.
So now we gotta get stuck trying to go this way. And so, right, because you got 3 trucks going this way pushing snow.
Wow.
And then you got 3 trucks going this way pushing snow. So now we going this way, and we got miles of snow.
So I'll take it, Sakina, y'all have some pretty brutal winters there in North Dakota.
Yes, because I used to have a Ford truck, but now I got a Dodge.
Oh,
so
you got Dodge,
can you imagine pulling up to a stop sign where you got 6-7 feet of snow up to your window, and you got to pull around it? Walmart and Target and all these other stores got mounds of snow. So when it melts, we have floods.
Whoa,
this is right. So this is the conversation that I was having, because when all this snow melts, now you got to deal with the floods, and then when the sewers back up and all of this kind of carrying on, and you see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. Wow, yeah. That's a man. Ooh-wee.
So at work, how are y'all dealing with? Well, Gemini was trying to talk about it, and I'm waiting to see if she could come back on with some of all of the challenges and everything. And
since you mentioned that, I was looking at Roland Martin, one of his commentaries, and but a couple people asked me, was I going to take the buyout thing, right? And I said, no way. I said, it's a trick. They're going to put y'all in the trick bag. Do not, I would tell anybody that's a federal employee, do not take that buyout, because it is a trick. I can see it 100 miles away. Hello, Gemini.
Hey, right. This is why we needed the co-host on, because see, he has a definite, Dewey is an
Mhm.
employee. And so he has
Yeah.
a different perspective on
Mhm.
um on on that part. So Dewey, I'm going in with my perspective on it, which
Okay.
for me, my
Give me one
stance
second. Let me
is
grab
if
my
you've
coffee.
had
Give me
less
one
than
second.
a okay. Dewey came in. So okay, Sakina, which last part of that were you able to hear before I was kicked off again?
Uh, I don't know. I was just trying to keep up some kind of conversation till you came back. So I was asking Dewey,
No,
how
that
did
wasn't the question. I was asking which part from me did you hear last before I was kicked off?
it only picked up when you started pulling it in, and then it bopped you all the way out.
Okay, so you didn't. Okay, so I'll have to go over
Yeah,
this again. So
yeah, it
okay,
got you
okay.
all the way.
So let's see. Yeah, because you know what, I don't think it's letting me present. So that's why I said every time I hit the present button, it's kicking me off.
Yeah,
So
it
I'm
bopped
gonna
you all the
probably
way.
have to stop presenting, and let's see if I can pull something up using the Copilot. And so employee OPM, new employee
Mhm.
metrics, new employee OPM metrics is
OPM.
what I'm typing in. New employee, yeah, okay, okay, okay. So I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna try one more time to present. Hopefully, you don't sit here and kick me off again. Okay, can you see that, Sakina?
Yeah,
Is it kicking me off again?
not yet.
Okay. So it's not pulling up yet. Okay. But you can sit here and see the new employee OPM metrics. So, so what I was talking about before this thing just, completely kicked me to the curb
Everything froze.
is the new evaluating employee performance in the HR merit system, right? And so these are some of the changes that are going to be coming. But before I even get back to that, Dewey, let me sit here and let you know um, my full position on that, so
Okay.
that we can sit here and kind of like conversate about it.
Okay.
So, um, for me, employees who have been working a year or less, the buyout is a very good thing. The buyout gives them the 8 months of security, whether they get paid today or tomorrow, they still have it coming. So the buyout gives them 8 more months of sick, 8 more months of annual, and it also gives them 8 more months of unemployment.
Okay.
So for the retirees, there is a program called Vera, which would give the retirees earlier retirement, right? So now they don't have to wait till they're 67. Through the VERA program, if you are 50 years of age or older and you have 20 years of service, you can retire out. And so what that does for the retirees is it gives them 8 more months of 401k, right? And so on top of their early retirement, it gives them 8 more months of retirement. And then they, can go and relax and do the things that retired people sit and do. But then for us, sandwiched in between, if you've been in the agency, 15, 20, 25, 30 years, then it's not good for us. But the resignation is not good for us. We still want to work. We still want to be considered part of the workforce. Um, and so it doesn't do much for people who have racked up years of service with the agency. Also, we have, if anything was to happen, right, wrong, or indifferent, we have years, 15, 20, 25 years worth of unemployment saved up for moments such as this.
Mm.
And so that is pretty much where I stand. But for, again, my employees, my concern with my employees who have been with the agency less than a year is a lot of them don't have a job where they were able to rack up a lot of unemployment before this job. This job was supposed to create stability and it did not. And so the unemployment for them is not looking great. A lot of them have already blown through a lot of their unemployment and they do not have 15 years, 10 years, 25 years of unemployment saved for a moment in time such as this. And so a buyout is a good thing for employees who have been with the agency less than a year. Here's one problem with that. 47 has deemed that a probationary or an employee who has been there less than 2 years is going to be considered for getting laid off. 2 years or less, he says. If you've given 2 years or less to the service. 2 years is a lot. I think 2 years is extreme. 1 year, yeah, but I think 2 years is extreme. And so they're in jeopardy. That puts a lot more people in jeopardy of losing their jobs. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I mean, now you take me for instance. November of this year will be 30 years for me at the IRS. Okay. And
Dewey, you stay telling people where you work.
huh? What now?
I said you stay telling people where you work.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, but I'm talking about what you just mentioned as far as like people that haven't been there any length of time, and
well, don't forget though, it's more than just people at the IRS. We're talking about the Department of Labor. We're talking about USA. We're talking about yes, this is affecting them too. So
absolutely.
It's more than just our workplace.
Federal employees. That's right. Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right. So what I wanted to say was this, LaShawn, was like this buyout thing, people concerned about job security, no matter what department or agency they work for. I can understand that because, like you said, he wants to come in and overhaul the government and wants to really, it's almost like they want a lot of employees to kind of like, just go ahead and leave their post or whatever, so his administration can come in and do what they want to do and change everything. So I don't know. It's kind of.
Do you realize? Yeah, and so this is what I'm talking about because I don't think people realize that he don't want to do it. He's done it. It's in black and white, and right, so when you see it when you see it in real time, right, it almost puts you in that. Again, it put me in that headspace like, wait, what? So there's really nothing even to discuss. It's happening. They've already done it. This is a distraction so that they can finish the implementation process.
Right.
Right. Yeah. And so I don't want to pull up the other one here. I do, but I don't because I don't want to sit here and get kicked out. I don't want to get kicked out again. So, but here under evaluating employees, I want to sit here. I'm going to try and pull it up without, hopefully it don't kick me out. So again, this is Fed Smith, right, for the informed federal employee. And Fed Smith is talking about the new evaluating employee performance in the HR merit system, right? And they're saying that previous efforts to improve performance has not lasted, and maybe this will, and maybe this won't. So they don't have a dog in the fight. Either way it goes, they're just putting the information out there, right? And so it says that reforming the federal service, meaning it's already doing it. It's not a thought. It's not something they're thinking about, they're actually putting it into a working order, a working policy and a working process. So it says, while a court extended the period for federal employees to decide on accepting the deferred resignation offer, several executive orders on the other civil service issues are moving forward at the same time. So civil is going to be, again, your county and your state jobs. Okay, so there's a change coming there as well. It says two of these directives. One is going to be reforming the federal hiring process and restoring merit to government service. Okay, and the hiring freeze, I was saying before I got cut off, that the hiring stops everything. It stops us from getting hired internally from department to department. It stops people from applying to the federal government, and it stops everyone from getting their promotions in the federal government if they were assigned. So they put in what they call these PARs. And if your PAR was put in before January the 20th, then they have to honor that. But if any PARs were put in after January the 20th, they've halted all of that. They've stopped all of that. So people who, was supposed to go here and there, they're not, they can't any longer. It stopped all movement internally and externally. So then it goes on to say, pursuant to the president's direction in those executive orders that were listed above, OPM is developing new performance metrics for evaluating the federal worker that aligns with priorities and standards in the president's recent executive orders. To assist OPM in developing these metrics no later than Friday, March 7th, 2025. So March is not here yet, but they're giving all agencies time to submit data regarding the old performance management plans and policies. Okay, because they're saying, hey, out with this old and in with this new. Okay, this is what you all used to do, and I'm pretty sure they're going to point out 50 million billion ways that it has not worked before now, and they're going to try and probably prove that this metric system is going to work much better. So it also says, including those contained in collective bargaining agreements. Number one, they're going to identify agency performance plans and make meaningful distinctions based on relative employee performance. And number two, the agency has the ability to swiftly terminate poor performing employees who cannot or will not improve. That is something else that is huge, right? Because how do they know that? It used to be where we would counsel people, give people memos, and put people on this PIP, which is called, performance issues. It's I forget what PIP stands for, performance issues, something or another. And so you would put them on these PIPs, and you would give them time to learn their job duties. You would give them OJI, you would give them some extra training, you would put them with a person who was who knew the job in full. You would give this employee a lot of healthy chances, not wasted chances, but you would give the employee time in whatever area they were lacking. You would give them time to produce and come up to speed, come up to par, right? And it would be followed by a memo and follow-ups and other people, other higher ups who now were alerted that some disciplinary action has been taken against an employee because they need to improve, right? And we had not I'm going to say a ton of chances, but pretty much a ton of chances, because that's what you need, right? You don't ever know what's going on in a person's life. And so sometimes if they're falling behind, it could be due to personal things. Well, this under this new metric is saying the agency has the ability to swiftly, because in the past, it's been very hard to remove an employee from their duties, from their post of duty. And as a step in implementing these executive orders, OPM has directed all agencies to submit the following information by February the 7th. Now, this is new information that they needed to sit here and submit to the OPM office. Number one, all employees who receive less than fully successful performing rate in the last 3 years. Wow. And so again, the problem with this right here, with this number one, again, is that you have brand new people who have been here 2 years, 3 years. It takes about 3 years for you to even learn your job in full. Like, we're administrators at work, and our stuff is to the ceiling of what you have to do, what you have to remember, procedures, complete with tax law, complete with everything. So 3 years is just about when a person becomes fully successful. They will not be fully successful in the first 3 years. Very few people. You have some smarty-arties, but for the average person who is on the average learning curve, it takes a full 3 years to even learn your position and job description in full in the first place. So to say that a fully unsuccessful person, or a person who's not fully successful, is now on the chopping block in the first 3 years, who have 3 years, that's bad business for people, for brand new employees.
Yep, I agree. I totally agree, because
Okay.
some jobs, and I'm speaking for all, again, I'm not going to narrow it down to where we're at, but just a lot of jobs at these other government agencies, you go through training. Training could be a month, 2 months, 3.5 months, whatever. And then when you come out of training, now you're doing live work. But see, the thing with that is, LaShawn and Sakina, is the fact that in some cases, I say in a lot of cases, they push you too fast. And it's almost like when you get out of training and you get into your job, it's almost like they want you to come smoking right out the box. But see, like you said, I agree with you. Sometimes it takes 3 years. I mean, some people, like you said, LaShawn, some people are fast learners. Some people have that aptitude to learn fast. They pick up information fast and process it. But and just because a person can't do that, that don't make them dumb or slow. I've said that throughout my life. See, people, even when I was in school, some kid, they got special ed. Oh, they slow. No, that's not necessarily true. Because I think of myself, and I hope I ain't getting off subject, but I think of myself, and I might not get it the first time, the second or third time, but maybe the fourth or fifth time, I got it. But when I got it, I truly got it. Sometimes I will get it the first time. So, but let me ask you this question. Do you feel like with them, about this performance eval thing, and how they base you on your merits of your performance, do you feel as though that could be a pretext for them trying to force people out or whatever, or trying to drive them out at a rate?
Let's finish. I'm gonna go through this first because that's a good question. So I'm gonna go through this first because this is what's expected. This is telling you what's expected. This is the new metric, performance, that they're replacing the old one with. Right. Okay, so when I mentioned the PIP, it's here. So all employees who received less than fully successful in a performance rate in the last 3 years, with respect to each employee. So they want the name, job title, plan, pay series, blah, blah, blah. Look under B though. Whether that employee is under or successfully completed a performance improvement plan within the last 12 months. That's that PIP I was talking about. The performance improvement plan. That's what the acronym for a PIP is. That is going to be important because there are lots of people who are on PIPs, because what also a PIP can do is lower your money. So if you were a grade 6 by not being fully successful on this PIP, it will take you to a grade 5 because they're saying grade 6 work is too hard for you. You're not learning it, based upon their learning curve. You're not getting it as well as you should. And so we're going to lower you down to a different grade. So this is built straight in. Now, these are the things that they have to submit, right? They need to they're submitting this information that we're looking at right now in real time. This is what they're submitting about every employee to this new, to OPM or the new authority over this performance, our performance rating. So they're submitting the name, job, title, pay plan, blah, blah, blah. They're also submitting this PIP, whether a person is fully successful under it. I'm pretty sure they want to know why the person is up under it. Whether an agency has already proposed an issue or decision under Chapter 43 or 75 or equivalent procedures, which I don't know what those are. Maybe those are still related to those PIPs. And the outcome. And also, too, whether a person has appealed or currently challenged those procedures under that, right? And so they also want to know, and that's deep to me, that they want to know whether or not these people who were put on these PIPs, they want to know if they challenged that decision, the decision that was made. It's very interesting that these people want to know that, right? Yes. So number two, any OPM regulations, agency policies, or terms, or collective bargaining agreements. And again, I've explained to you all that a bargaining agreement employee is one that is not in supervisory or management position. So Dewey is bargaining unit, I'm non-bargaining unit, and Dewey's going to be protected. The NTEU, our union, is going to protect Dewey in his rights as much as they can, versus me and my rights are a whole different ballgame.
Okay. Can I interject?
And so number two, 2A.
2A. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead, dog. I'm gonna come in behind you. Go ahead and read 2A. I'm listening.
Okay.
Really? Okay.
And so 2A, agency performance plans for making meaningful, distinctive, based on relative employees' performance, or B, the agency's ability to swiftly separate low-performing employees. So a PIP, if you are on a PIP, you are considered a low-performing employee. So they're looking for several things, right? So they're looking for people who are in probationary status. They're looking for people who have been in the service 2 years or less. And now this is telling you they're looking for people who they consider low-performing employees if you have a PIP or if you have not been deemed fully successful. If your annual shows that you're not fully successful, okay? And these are the people that are going to be on the chopping block. Very, very interesting that a PIP is going to be considered, is a consideration for a person or an employee who is low value, who is considered low performing. I think that's so interesting. Go ahead, Sakina, because I see your hand up.
Let me say, this is my perspective to why. Because, one, I get that the labor laws are involved, and some of these people are in this executive order, and they're under all of these name changes that you helped me out with over time. So the labor law, you have to treat one employee, you have to do for all. This is the due process. And so these are the things that you're discussing. So when you have these problems, when somebody don't know, and I get you saying it's 3 years to learn some things and whatnot, and some of these
things, a lot of things.
Okay, and I get that. So again, when you say you had training, some of these people have these trainings and whatnot in school. And then when you get to the job, you get your orientation, then you get your training. And then so at one point, you had your PIP, and then that was your evaluation. But then you also had
No, your
performance
PIP is going to come
evaluation.
last. Your PIP is the last straw.
Exactly.
If they
So
put
you
you on a
already
PIP,
had.
if they put you on a PIP, that
Understand
means
me. Let me
that
go
they
here.
feel like you have done, everything
Exactly.
that they
So
can
you
do,
already had a
and then they
regular
put you on a PIP.
evaluation while you're under the PIP evaluation. Now, somebody's supposed to monitor that. And then after that,
They
this is
do.
why, exactly. So you don't just constantly stay under this type of evaluation, because now you're not,
You
you're
do. You stay
lacking.
for a year. It's a
Well, you're
whole
not
year.
supposed to. This is the thing. So the
No, it
problem.
is. It's a year. It's 12
Okay,
months.
so this is why this is a problem. I understand where I'm going with this, because this person is lacking. So while they're lacking, your desk and some of other people's desks is getting piled up. You see what I'm saying? And when y'all have a lot of lackers like that, a lot of people just is getting piled up while one person is under a whole year of trying to catch up. And then you might have 30, 40, 50, 60 people. And then after that, and we don't know how many people. And I'm not speaking up to excuse nothing. I'm just saying. So this is why they're trying to get rid of those who are not or cannot. You had another conversation. I think I came in late with the slaggers and the lackers. And then with everything that when you come to work, people say, I didn't sleep with you last night. And you bring your your home problems to work. No, you can't do that. So I get where we don't know what's wrong with people and they might be having this and that, but you can't bring that to work. When you beating up on residents and or you doing this and that ain't got nothing to do with work. You came to work. So I get that you might have other things mentally, stressfully going on, right? But you have to divide that when you come to work. You came to work to work. And sometimes when you come to work, you got to come in working. You don't even get to sit at your desk sometimes before somebody hand you a pile of papers, a stack of folders and carrying on. And you got to take them to your desk. You ain't even made it to your desk. And they done gave you all this work. And so you come in working and you ain't even made it there. So that's all I'm trying to put in your mind. So because you're not.
No, I mean, listen. I get it, and that is clearly your perspective
Yeah.
on this. But from my perspective, from this, again, 3 years is not even enough to learn your job fully, and that's
No, I'm
with
not
even
saying
all the
that
things
part, but I'm saying far as a
this
disciplinary.
is.
That's where I'm going.
Okay, this is my full response without getting cut off.
Okay.
Okay, so again, it takes 3 years to learn your position. No one in the first 3 years should ever be put on a PIP because there is just too much to know and too much to learn. And so when Dewey says that, hey, their expectation is for you to sit here and just be a super nerd right off the bat. No, it doesn't go that way because sometimes this is brand new to a lot of people who have never pushed paper before, right? And so you have to give people proper time in order to catch up. And regardless of how it hurts the team, we have defaults for these. We have other things that will catch people while they're going through they're trying to learn the job. That our job is to have the patience enough to work with people in the first place before we ever even put them there. So if they're on a PIP, they're on there for something that's a little bit more egregious. However, the PIP does is 12 months because they give you time to learn your job in full. So they give you the on the job instructor. They give you time to sit with other employees who have the time to show you how to do the job. And this is what a good job is supposed to have, these defaults in the first place in order to help you keep your job, because we're talking about job retention. We're not talking about going through all of this only to get rid of an employee because they can't learn their job within the first 3 years. Our work is very hard. It's very it's very mental.
Exactly.
And so again, and so people who are not exposed to this, what this does, I think after the 3 years, what this really does is say, hey, either you're fit for this job or you're not. And I think they should be doing something, but
And
not
that's where I
before,
belong.
they give you full time for you to show you the job in full. I think that's something that they need to do. I think, I never mind the way that some people who didn't catch on as quick as others. It's okay. You have other people there like myself who got the patience and the time to sit here and show you what to do the right way in order for you to be successful. And that's pretty much what it's about. Right. And so this executive order, and this is just another way, as you pointed out, for them to weed people out of the workplace. And so these things are happening. So whether you never had this buyout, that's it's the buyout. Whether you ever had the buyout or not, these other things that they put in place was going to weed you out. And so it's important for people who don't understand the buyout, how important it is for you to understand that this is some sort of leverage. You don't know the job in full, but you're going to get 8 months. And so the government is not fully funded. So what, come March, when we're expecting a furlough, there's not going to be money for anybody, and we'll still be back paid, and we'll still have to come to work, some of us. I'm in a department now where everyone on that floor is deemed essential or critical. So that means that we work when there's money or no money. We work whether there's anything going on, all of this stuff going on. We have procedures to already come to work, prepared to stay to work for the long haul.
Wow.
Yeah.
So people like myself, I'm not going anywhere. Dewey works in another department. His department is not deemed essential. So if there's a furlough, Dewey will simply go home, right? And he has 22 years of unemployment that can cushion him while he's going through this until the dust settles. My problem again is for people who have been with the agency 2 years or less. You really don't owe the agency anything, and you don't have any dog in this fight. So to hang around with the OGs while they're going through this, I think you could be spending that time wisely by putting all that energy into another job and your own and a different type of job security. Because as you can see, with all these things going on, even if you did stay at this job and you're not considered a high performer, you were gone anyways. And if they fire you, because for most people, this is their very first career job, you don't even have unemployment racked up. And the job you came from, you didn't stay there very long either. Because a lot of people job hop. They stay there for 6 months, stay there for 1 year. You don't have a safety net. So to jump out while you can safely with the promise of 8 months of pay, whether you get it today again or tomorrow in one lump sum, you're still getting it. And you're still able to sit here and save yourself the stress of not having to work for a place that now is very unstable. The stability is just not there any longer.
Yeah. And let me add, to tell you that you'll get 8 months or 2 years of unemployment and to say that, because unemployment is only 6 months. And for them to tell you 2 years, that's
no. We're talking about the pay. It's the difference between 6 months of unemployment where you're getting $52 a week because you only worked your job 6 months versus me getting $1,500 a week because I've worked my job for a long time.
Right. No, I'm saying
I'm not saying
you. I'm talking about the people.
No, I'm talking about in general. They're not saying even that, though. They're not saying 8 months or 2 years of unemployment. That's not what was said. I'm saying you get to rack up 8 months of unemployment. I don't care if they give it to you 6 months at a time, because when we have times like this, unemployment makes special rules for federal employees. They make special rules
Right.
for different circumstances too. And so they
Exactly.
will
That's what
sit
I'm
here
speaking on,
and
because
give you
anybody else would only get
your
6
max.
months. That's what I'm saying. Anybody else would have only got 6 months.
No, but I'm saying even if they did get 6 months, Sakina, it's the difference. I'm clearing this up. I'm clearing that it is the difference between getting $52 a week because you only have 6 months of unemployment, period, versus people who are going to be getting $1,500 a week
No,
because they have
unemployment
more
works
unemployment saved
right,
up,
but
more unemployment
unemployment
stored up.
works off of how much you
That's
make.
what I'm saying.
Right, but unemployment works off of how much you make off of every 2 weeks, and it divides it into half per week. But what I'm trying to say is
no, and when you have it wrapped up, no, ma'am. When you have it wrapped up, some people, this is what the problem was during the pandemic, when they were saying that people were making more on unemployment than they were their jobs. Unemployment gives you all of those jobs. It takes all of that and divide it. So the more you have worked, the longer you have worked, the more you get. And sometimes you do get more than your paycheck from your job, depending on how much it's wrapped up in unemployment. So what are we talking? What are we saying?
From your
and the job you
that's
came from. They take all that into consideration. So this is what I'm saying. When you're sitting here saying and making people think that, hey, unemployment is only going to give you this and this. No, the longer you work, the more you get. And this is what part of that issue was for unemployment. This is why when we audited people for unemployment. Why? Because people didn't want to let it go. Why? Because they were getting the max.
And
which is way more than what their paychecks would have ever paid them. Unemployment was paying that out. So what are we saying? That you're going to get less if you get unemployment? That's not the truth.
No, that's not what I was saying at all.
Then what are we talking about?
At all. I was trying to say that with them combining that, with them leaving, right, as an addition, trying to buy them out, right? That would give them a longer something to help them try to get on their feet.
Well, it would increase their numbers, right? So let's say if they didn't take the buyout, and so hey, they got 6 months in, and so their unemployment stops right there at that number versus 8 months in, where they're saying, oh, okay, now we can sit here and divide it by 11 months over 6 months. That's a lot better because you'll get a lot more if you have a lot more wrapped up, if your numbers are increased.
Right, because anybody else would have only got 6 months.
Everybody probably still will get 6 months, but it's the difference again between getting $52 a week for 6 months over $1,500 a week for 6 months. That is the difference.
But I wasn't looking at the dollars. I was just looking at the time.
Oh no, I look at the dollars here. I'm looking at it all. The period, the comma,
No, I was just looking at the time.
They can't say that. I'm looking. Girl, I've been got 10 dictionaries out looking at that, breaking that one thing down. Stop like that.
I'm looking at the time frame, saying, y'all.
I'm looking at it all, because this is what a good manager does. This is what a good supervisor does. Yeah. I am a good supervisor. I break down things so that they can understand what they actually will get if they sit here and don't take the buyout. For brand new employees, the buyout is great. I just can't say it. Because again, whether they get the money in increments like they were hoping, or they get one lump sum, they still have it coming to them. You still have it coming, right? And so we have that saying that says, hey, it may not come when you want it, but it come right on time.
It'll be the blank. That's all I'm saying. It'll be the blank. Yeah.
You will sit here. You have that coming. You will be getting that. Right. And so, but again, I don't want to stray off, too far from the point. So my point is, again, with these new performance enhancements coming to our metrics, I really wanted people to see that by us staying for the long haul within these internal agencies, this is what we have to look forward to, this brand new performance ratings and metrics that are coming up. And I wanted to go over to the to the union part, but I'm afraid to press any more buttons because it may kick me off. And I don't want to get kicked off. I just got this thing going, pretty good, pretty decent here. And I don't want to have to start all over. So I'm not going to sit here and touch anything. So we are stuck at the performance ratings. So we'll just go ahead and keep talking about these new performance ratings. And so again, it's very interesting that they've been asked to submit for all employees all of this information. What was their last 3 annuals? What are they on a PIP or not? If they were on a PIP, were they fully successful? They're asking all of these questions to be able to weed people out. It's like, wow, so one way or the other, this DRP is an issue, but it's only just one issue. It's not the end all and be all. Again, because when you go over to OPM and you read it, it's reading as if it's always been in place, which tells you, which tells me, which tells us that it's done already. This is all just a distraction. And so after the judge and their findings on Monday about this resignation, because also another issue for the resignation, I don't know if people knew this, probably not, but I'm going to tell you anyways, is people are having a problem with, in the beginning, the very first language that came out from that email stated, if you resign, you wouldn't have to come back to work. But we all know who work in these agencies. It doesn't make sense. That never made sense to us because this is the tax filing season. So if people resign, who was going to process these returns? So they sent out a second email. And this is where people just had a fit that said, in regardless to the DRP, if you signed it, in regardless to you signing it, if you have been deemed an essential or a critical employee, you must return back to work till May the 17th. April the 15th is when the filing season is over. It also had language in there saying you will be working at least until March the 14th, because March the 14th is the day that the president signs the spending bill. If he does not sign the spending bill, we go into a furlough, which we're going to. That means that people are going to be out of work. And that's the time when they can use their unemployment for that as well, right? They can use their unemployment for the furlough because your paperwork is going to be saying that you are laid off for a period of time, right? The problem with that is you done signed the resignation, you've been furloughed, and the essential workers still have to come back to work. So what sense is that making? So the judge halted it for good reason, because now you got people jumping in, out, in, out, in and out. Who wants to be doing that? That's a lot of stress. Yeah, you have the dates like May the 17th, which is a month after all taxes, the taxes have been processed and filed, and then they plan on getting rid of what they call these low performers. So you have all of these different dates. It is stressing the hell out of people. And the language is just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But I will tell you, I will share this with you. If you understand that you are going to be hanging around your agency for the long haul, you still have one more hurdle to jump over. And that is for everyone, 3 years and under. If you have not been fully successful in any one of those years, they're going to deem you a low performer swiftly. The language says swiftly. separate you from the agency. And also, if you have this PIP, which is going to hurt and harm you, you're going to be swiftly deemed as a low performer and let go. And this is why I say again, for people who been with this agency, any of these federal agencies for, let's go with his 2 years, you really don't have a dog in this fight. You really should be making concessions to go find stability in another type of job. And let the old heads and the OGs thug it out. Don't sit there with them, because there's not going to be nothing for you except an official pink slip or official layoff coming, because these things here are already written under OPM. It's just a matter of time, 6 months or so, before they go into full operation and be fully operational and functional within these agencies.
You know what?
And this, I'm sorry, hold on. I wanted to sit here and say right here, performance management policies. Agencies are also asked to share their current performance management policies and any obstacles to swiftly terminating poor performing employees. Wow. These managers who have deemed people poor performers, good God Almighty, this is where it's going to get real ugly. The people who called me who don't even work for a federal agency was let go due to that last bullet point right there, an obstacle. And they used, whereas before they couldn't have used any type of performance to really let go of that employee. Now under this performance language was used, and a few friends that I have were laid off of work due to the language change.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a lot. It's a lot. And so each week we're going to sit here and kind of like, pour through these so that we can see what is being established and kind of weigh on in it versus what it used to be to what it's going to look like. So this just gives you just a snapshot of things to come in your workforce, in your workplace environment near you.
Yes. And speaking on that, I just remembered I got something I want you to give some commentary on. Do you mind?
Oh, no, go ahead.
Okay, let me pull it up and present it.
Okay, while you're doing that, give me a second.
I need to share my screen right quick. Let me know when you're back.
Oh, let me stop. Oh, okay, that means I got to stop sharing mine. There you go.
You see it?
Yeah. Defense Intelligence Agency.
Yes. Gemini, go ahead and read that. Can you see it enough to read it?
Can you blow it up a little more?
Okay, let me see.
Let me see here, Sakina.
Can you see it?
Yeah, well, okay. Let me see. DIA workforce pause on special emphasis programs and related activities and events. The agency is working internally and with the department to implement the executive orders, ending radical and wasteful government DEI programs and preferencing an initial recessions of harmful executive orders and actions dated January 20th, 2025. We are receiving questions across the workforce on the way forward with special emphasis programs, special observances, agency resource groups, affinity groups, and employee networking groups. Number 2, DIA will pause all activities and events related to agency special emphasis programs effective immediately and until further notice. Additionally, special observances hosted throughout the year by the command element, directorates, and special offices are also paused. These include observances related to
Okay,
the
I'm
public.
back.
Huh?
Okay. No, I was saying I'm back.
Okay, January, Martin Luther King Jr. birthday. February, Black History Month. March, Women's History Month. May, Holocaust Day, Days of Remembrance. May, Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. June, Pride. June 19th, Juneteenth. August 26th, Women's Equality Day. September 15th to October 15th, National Hispanic Heritage Month. October, National Disability Employment Awareness Month. November, National American Indian Heritage Month. The pause will not affect the federal holidays.
What you think about that?
Wait. Read that last part again. The last part.
What? About what?
The last paragraph you read. So what about the federal holidays?
Oh, the pause will not affect the federal holidays.
Oh, okay.
DIA will also pause agency resource groups, affinity groups, and employee networking.
I didn't get to I gotta re-go back and get this whole letter again, but this is all that I could I tried to snapshot the whole letter, but just from this part right here, what do you think?
Well, I'm if they're not getting rid of the federal holidays, because remember, we're still going to be federal workers. We're going to, I mean, things work is going to look a lot different, but we should have
Yeah,
these
but
respected days off.
all these holidays are gone.
Is that what Dewey read? Dewey, I thought you read something different.
No, read it again, Dewey. One more again.
Okay, I'm gonna start from the beginning again.
All right.
To DIA workforce, subject, pause on special emphasis programs and related activities and events. The agency is working internally and with the department to implement the executive orders ending radical and wasteful government DEI programs and preferencing an initial recessions of harmful executive orders and actions dated January 20th, 2025. We are receiving questions across the workforce on the way forward with special emphasis programs, special observances, agency resource groups, affinity groups, and employee networking groups. DIA will pause all activities and events related to agency special emphasis programs effective immediately and until further notice. Additionally, special observances hosted throughout the year by the command element, directorates, and special offices are also paused. These include observances related to the following. In January, Martin Luther King Jr. birthday. February, Black History Month. March, Women's History Month. May, Holocaust Day, Days of Remembrance. May, Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. June, Pride. June 19th, Juneteenth. August 26th, Women's Equality Day. September 15th to October 5th, National Hispanic Heritage Month. October, National Disability Employment Awareness Month. November, National American Indian Heritage Month. The pause will not affect the federal holidays. DIA will also pause agency resource groups, affinity groups, and employee networking. So is that necessarily them saying that they're trying to do away with all those holidays?
So
for right now,
what are they actually trying to do? I want to make sure I understand. What are they trying to eliminate and just totally wipe out those holidays that were listed?
Right now?
Yeah.
For right now. Yeah.
For but it said to it was specific though who it was addressed to. So we're gonna sit here and assume that was for those employees at that particular agency because when they've been put on administrative leave, so now they've been put on notice too that there will be no more paid holidays as well if it falls on any one of those holidays. That's what that sounds like. That's putting them on notice that any type of benefits that you had when you were before you were put on administrative leave have now been subject to a change. And here is the change. You guys will not be receiving paid holidays on administrative leave. I'm pretty sure some other benefits, they've gotten other letters to tell them everything they will not be getting while on administrative leave.
But the fact remains, the government is still going to observe those holidays. Is that correct?
Yeah, just
Those
not the
holidays will still be
DEI.
observed. Huh?
Yeah, yeah, just not the DEI employees because they were put on administrative leave.
Oh, I get you. I get you. Okay. Well, I got it. Got a second. Let me go back. Let me kind of like rewind to what you were saying earlier, talking about the employees who are not, fully successful or successful in doing their jobs. Okay, and we talked about the three-year time frame in order to truly be successful. But myself, LaShawn, and other people, I won't mention no department, no names, none of that stuff. But the fact remains is after you apply for a job, you're hired for that job, you're trained for that job. Then when you get out there and start doing the live work and you actually performing the actual job itself, there's a problem in between there where there are managers who don't want to do their jobs. There are work leaders that don't want to do their jobs. And and I know that to be firsthand. I know that for a straight up fact.
Yeah.
And because of that, how do you expect your employees to be successful when they come to you and you don't want to help them? I actually went through that. And I've talked to several people around the IRS, throughout the whole building in different departments who have told me, and we've kind of compared notes, and they have told me the exact same thing. I go to my manager and they look at me like, who are you? I don't know you. Or you go to your work leader and get help. So with that said, you're doomed for failure. There are people that sincerely want to do their job and do good at it. And then we all know, like you and Sakina were saying earlier, there's lazy people that don't want to do their job. They don't want to come to work. They take long breaks. So yeah, maybe in that case, for those people that's not putting forth the effort and don't show no type, of forte as far as like doing their jobs, maybe they're gonna find their way out the door. But for the people who do come to work and do have good work ethic and sincerely want to do their job, if you are not getting the help from your manager, from your work leader, then the way I see it, it's almost like they're setting you up for failure. I truly see it that way. And that does happen. It truly does happen.
Yes, it does. But also, that same manager or lead, supervisor, whichever you call it, they also get evaluated by that. So let's say if it was you, and your succession rate and your failure rate is unequally balanced. Let's say you have more employees that go into PIP versus every 6 months. You might have 12 employees. You might have 24 employees or 24 people you manage, and every 3 months or so you get 12 new trainees, and every 3 months or so you get 6 ratios that go into PIP. That what does that say about your training? So that your leadership skills, your leadership qualities. So that shows about your poor leadership. So these people that's not bringing them up to par, that shows on their behalf. So everything that you said does show, right? Because they're not doing their job. So the things that y'all talk about on this channel shows that y'all bring these employees up to what they need. But the ones that haven't, that also shows.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
It does, and it reflects. I mean, because that's not without saying that we have bad supervisors, bad managers on the floor. But the problem is with that, Dewey, is that's a human thing. That's just reflective in what you see. Because most people, who are career supervisors, 20 years they've been doing it, 15 years, 10, a lot of information that we have to retain. They're tired. And is that an excuse? No, it's not. But sometimes, you all just know me personally, and you see how sometimes, I am drained, dog tired, and that comes from having to deal with employees' personal concerns, as well as keep up with all of the administrative things that we have to do too. So, a lot of the times what we've seen reflected in a bad manager is the fact that when we do get that turnover that Sakina was mentioning a second ago, when we do get a turnover, and we have to, constantly show employees what to do and how to do it. And because again, this kind of work, people just, there's very few people with a propensity for it, right? When they come in, they have to literally be trained in a totally different way because this stuff is brand new. And there's a lot of tax laws that apply to it. And so what they don't tell you is that if you're coming to a federal agency, there is going to be a lot of mental work, things that processes and policies that you will have to remember, different from if your background was per se, if you came from a GM Ford, what is that called? Where one person puts on the doors, the next person puts on the hood, the next person paints it, the next person
like assembly line.
Yes, so different. So we have, when we have poor performance, it's not that they're poor performance outside of this specific work that they're doing. They may not just have a propensity to pick it up because maybe their prior jobs did not require an administrative part to it. So that axe kind of swings both ways because you have managers who are explaining this to fresh minds. And then we know as adult learners that it is so hard to rewrite over what an adult person already knows. And so if you want to copy new information over what they've already learned as far as information, it is very hard to do so. And you have to be specific when doing so, because that's not something that adult learners are just going to pick up. That's why I say that 3 years. We know it's going to take 3 years because there has to be a whole mind change on the psychological part. It has to switch over. So now you're not in a warehouse packing. Now you're not in sales, right? Now you're not, in customer service that way. And now the type of customer service, when we say customer service, we want you to pull up your computer and use a ton of programs that look like Cobalt, right? That look like Cobalt, old school Cobalt. And we want you to be able to read the information that's on it and then convey it back in a professional manner. That is hard for people to be able to learn because their prior jobs, there was no administrative piece to it. And so, these are the type of concerns that, we face, challenges we face in the workplace every single day. But you do and are, as a supervisor manager, supposed to be able to have the patience to read people, thus read the people who are in your teams who are going to be doing and performing the work. And unfortunately, managers and supervisors get also burned out and they get tired of having to repeat, some of these same processes. And so this is some of the stuff that it's talking about when it was saying our old employee in performance measures, some of it could use an overhaul. And it could, but there's a lot of factors to consider when doing so, right? Again, it on both sides, the employee sides and the manager sides, it requires a lot of work, a lot of consistency. And sometimes, again, if you've had lots of deaths, if you've had lots of, personal things, you have children that are wild because you're not at home, you're giving all of your time to your government agency or your workplace in general. These things all factor in. So sometimes too, when people are saying things, people are not quite picking up the language or picking up the understanding of what's supposed to happen. That's why on this show, I tend to want to always break down the language of things, because you can think you understand a thing going into it. And when it's time to perform, you didn't hear what they said at all. And they come at you with this performance language, and you're like, wait, what? I'm getting fired for performance? So it's very imperative to understand what the lingo is in your workplace, any work environment. Understand what the language is and what people mean when they say different things, because it catches people by surprise all the time. They let me go for this, and then when you go digging in, you're like, oh man, it does fall under that. So there's a lot of variations and a lot of different factors on why you have bad managers, bad supervisors, and things like that. But that act swings kind of both ways, because as an employee, it is your job as well to come in with an open mind and a clear understanding of performing the duties that you took an oath to. And if you didn't understand it right then and there while you were taking the oath, then maybe you should have rethought your plan to become a career employee in a federal workforce.
Yep, very true. Very true.
So I wanted to bring up this right here, the before we end it, DEI versus EEO. And I want to bring up the language in this too, because this is the piece that is missing from EEO. So EEO, EEOC, and equal employment opportunity still is up and running.
Ooh, excuse me.
Let's be clear, it's still up and running. However, the language has changed, right? Because they got rid of the DEI. And trust me, they put a lot of thought into which part of this, because they could have gotten rid of the EEOC and left the DEI, but they did not, did they? No, they didn't. They got rid of the DEI part and they left the EEOC language. Okay. So DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Diversity focuses on the presence of differences within a given setting, including race, gender, age, and more. Equity ensures fair treatment, access, and opportunities for all individuals, and inclusion creates a culture where everyone feels respected and valued, and it is inclusive. Now, it says the DEI initiatives aims to foster an inclusive environment where diversity is valued and everyone feels a sense of belonging. Now, here is the EEO, equal employment opportunity. Non-discriminative ensures that individuals are not treated unfairly or denied opportunities based on factors such as race, age, gender, religion, or disability. A level playing field, emphasizing on creating a level playing field where individuals can compete on merit and qualifications rather than facing systemic barriers. EEO is about providing equal opportunities and preventing discrimination in the workplace. So, in summary, while DEI focuses on creating inclusiveness in an equitable environment, EEO ensures that everyone has an equal chance to succeed without facing discrimination. Both are crucial for building a fair and equitable society, but they operate on different levels and addresses different aspects of inequality. They've got rid of DEI portion, which means that they got rid of the part that says that ensures fair treatment and access to opportunities for everyone, which means now there's no fair treatment because it's all merit-based, right? So what do you mean fair, right? So they got rid of all of that language, and now it's just the EEO. Well, you're going to have a hard time with these EEO cases because they've also scrubbed away any parts that had this part in it. Any part of that is now gone. So even though you have the EEO and they're still operating as if nothing has happened, right? As I get their, they're a part of my pipeline. I get all their emails. Listen, a level playing field. Understand how this word merit fit right on in here with the EEO. So the EEO will not be able to protect people because there is no such thing anymore as fair and equal treatment for all. It's just merit-based treatment for all now, which is now you can't say because, hey, I'm Black and she didn't like me, he didn't like me, he fired me and let me go. There's none of that cushion to protect you anymore. Now you can't come and say, hey, you know what? I am a transgender person and I've had, hey, I have this going on and that going on. Now I'm like, well, just because you're different, does not mean we protect you either. Now it's on your own merit. You have none of this language here any longer to protect you or cushion you from the fallout, which is going to make any type of case that you send to the EEO for them to file, it's going to have to be non-discrimination. But I just pulled this up. It used to say discrimination. Now it's saying non-discrimination. Now it's saying a level playing field. Emphasizes creating a level playing field where individuals can compete on merit and qualifications rather than facing systemic barriers. What systemic barriers? These at the top focus on the presence of differences within a given setting, including race, gender, age, and more. See how that goes? So it's like you needed both things in order to cushion and secure a person from discrimination any place, especially in the workplace. But now, since they chopped off one of your arms, you're working with one arm. And that one arm then goes, scrub the language. And now the language says, now were you on an equal level playing field? How then do you prove that a person discriminated against you? Didn't you get here and weren't you able to compete on your own merit, your own qualifications? What systemic barrier are you referring to? Are you talking about these ones? Because they're gone. They're gone. So I wanted to make sure that when people, because I've heard people say, hey, they didn't get rid of it all. The EEO is still available. Yeah, but the EEO has been scrubbed. So the language that used to protect you even more, that gave a person an equal and fair playing ground, was all in the verbiage. It was all in the language. And if your language has changed, so has its mission statement. So I don't want to confuse people, or people shouldn't be confused when they now say, but that place is still open. Yeah, but the menu items have changed. When's the last time you've been over there? Pops don't own it no more. Shops own it now. Here's new shop. Here's the menu for shops, and here's the new policy for shops. Pops is out, shops is in, right? So I wanted to make sure you all saw this, because some jobs will still, the EEO will still be functioning as normal. They were not the part of this body that was cut off. The DEI portion of it was cut off. And the DEI and the EEO at one point in time before January the 20th, 2025, had the same mission in mind. It mirrored each other. And now it doesn't. Okay. So I wanted to make sure that you all saw those changes and understood the changes. And now here at the bottom, it clearly tells you they operate on different levels and address different aspects of inequality. And you're going to have to fight damn hard to prove that inequality has happened to you in the world. because these factors are out. And so this is how merit-based is playing out. It's again real important. It's going to be real important to read these new rules so that you can understand the challenges that you may or may not face in your workplace. It's real important to understand the language and understand that a lot of this language was not here prior to January the 20th, 2025, but now it is. And so don't be, when you say, Dewey was the one who said, I know a trick when I see one. These things are very tricky and they're tricking people every day. So the trick is not so much as the program, the DRP, the deferred resignation program. The trick is in the language now of your policies that we'll be following. And some of this language, again, has already been scrubbed to say other things, even though people was probably still click on EEO and say, hey, we got an issue at work. My boss doesn't like me because of my disability. My boss doesn't like me because of my age. My boss doesn't like me because I'm a woman. Now, I will share with you, we do have a woman protection that they did leave in place for women. They did. I'm going to probably see if I can pull it up next week, but they did leave one in place. And I have yet to see how they scrubbed the language out of it and what it now says as opposed to what it used to say. Go ahead, Dewey.
Real quick, let me ask you this. Where does possibly like sexual harassment factors into DI or E, whatever, you know? Is there any relation to that, like sexual harassment and what you're talking about here, the EEO?
Yeah, well, as you can see, they left that out. So it's going to be your EEO. This is all you're going to have now is the EEO. And pretty much a sexual harassment case. They're going to make sure that other factors didn't play a part of it.
Right. For example, like
such as
if you want this promotion or you want this upgrade, you're gonna have to sleep with me, type of thing, you know. So
well, you know, our agency is very good about the ethics, our ethics. We have very good ethic policies at work. And we are given video and training and classes and this, that, and the third. So I'm almost assuming that there is going to be a new ethics training coming near you.
Right. Yeah.
Brand new, hot off the press. And so we'll be seeing it for the very first time all together. But it is going to factor in. It's going to be a factor. And you're going to see some things that were not there before, just like this new EEO and the DEI that they've scrubbed out entirely. And in that word inclusion, right? Very big deal. And so it's almost contradicting because on one hand, they say inclusion, right? They got rid of inclusion. That creates a culture where everyone feels respected, valued, and inclusive. But then they turn right around and deem it only two genders, right? But yet they say they want qualified people. Qualification does not come in clothes. Qualification is not hair. Those were the things that we face, people of color, right? Yeah. Black people, we face that at one point in time before the DEI. The reason why it was so important to keep DEI in the first place, because if your name was Hakeem, Lord forbid, they saw that on the job application. Oh, okay. And let's say they did sit here and say, we'll take Hakeem Jenkins. Come on in for an interview. Wait, what? He has braids? Oh, no, I'm so sorry. Thank you for coming in, Hakeem Jenkins. But guess what? We don't like your name. And now we really don't like your braids. You either cut those braids and come in looking like you're ready to work, or you can just go find another job. We're back to that. And people did not realize how much the DEI, because it's a built-in factor into your application, people did not realize how much they had been saved. So now they couldn't got rid of you because your name was Makunda. because your name was, Shanisha, because your name was all of these cultural and ethnic names that we named our children. They couldn't get rid of you anymore. They couldn't look at your application and say, hey, we don't like her name. We deem her unqualified and fit for the position. Anybody who knows anything about the East Coast and the South know that their highest professionals in those Black neighborhoods all have ethnic names.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
And
You go to DC, you're going to see nothing but ethnic names for people who are highly qualified with several degrees.
what about people like Islamic people from the Middle East, or even born and raised in the United States, that like maybe wear their Muslim garbs and stuff,
Oh
and then
yeah.
like
Oh
got
that
the
yeah.
Indian guy
That protection is all that protection is gone. All
Huh?
that protection is gone. All that protection is gone. These are the things the DEI was the reason for protections of people who
Yeah.
were not, who were not migrant, immigrant. These were protections so that you could wear your hijab to work.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Right. And so now, if they wanted to, they can really simply say, hey, we don't allow hijabs at work. Take it or leave it. It's part of the policy. It's part of the new policy. Right. And she, could be top engineer. What do you mean you don't take that? That's why when they got rid of inclusion, see, remind you, they got rid of this DEI part for a reason and only left just this EEOC because it gives you less protections. You needed both in order to be fully protected. Right. And so those protections, again, kept people from getting rid of you because they didn't like you. It's going to be a 50-50 split. Some people are going to say good riddance. Oh my gosh, I didn't like working with them anyways. Oh God. Oh, it's about time. And then other people are still trying to say, hey, I don't care whether or not DEI is gone. If you come work for me, I'm going to treat you with respect. I'm going to treat you fair and equally. Yeah. So you're still going to have employers doing that. Employers who understand what it really is, right? People with good hearts, people with sound minds, people with great judgment. They're never going to sit here and turn their workforce into a place that is exclusive, excluding the talent, excluding people because of their name and their hair and where they come from. Because they understand that a lot of people, again, qualified and intelligent does not come wrapped up in those things.
Right. Absolutely.
When a person is intelligent and qualified, there is not a ethnic thing that can sit here and remove that. So by removing this, though, this removes half the talent from the pool. And this is what he's saying. We want people who are coming in here fully talented, yet not expecting to be hired or fired, who understand that I laid you off because I don't like your name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Wow.
And so that is technically what's going on with that. So I'm going to sit here and get rid of this. Let me look at the comments because we're going to pick this back up next week too. And again, continue on talking about all of these rapid workforce changes because it's important to understand, what some of this could possibly look like. By all means, I'm no authority. I just come here and I just break down, the language of what some of these things mean and, make some comparisons from what it used to be to what it is now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so with that, thank you. We got people in the chat. Thank you, James Davis. Thank you, Marcus. We got Reggie. Thank you so much for tuning in. Yeah, who else we have? Is that Drea by the Most High? Son by the Most High?
Yep.
Yep. Thank you. And thank you, Drea, and everyone else who listened in today.
Yeah.
So with that saying, any last words, Dewey?
No, as always, it's very enlightening, very invigorating, very informative. So It always makes my day on Saturdays when I can sit in on, the live chat and everything, and learn something new, because that's what life is. It's a never ending learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
So that's beautiful. This is a wonderful thing. So I just want to say to everybody, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and definitely enjoy that Super Bowl. And we're hoping our Chiefs go ahead and get that
Go Chiefs, go!
and make history. We're looking to make history.
Yeah.
But I'm fighting a cold too, so y'all got to excuse me. I come down with a slight cold. But yeah, we hoping the Chiefs go ahead and get that three-peat, man. So y'all, Sakina, you gonna watch the Super Bowl tomorrow?
Of course not.
Of course not. Oh no, Sakina, no.
No, I might try to watch it. Yeah, no, I might.
I may force her to sit here and watch it.
May force
I watch it.
Yeah.
Gemini,
She should watch it.
Y'all the loudest cheerers, so I'm gonna
say the cheerleaders.
We are. We make the Guinness World Book of Records for the loudest team.
Yeah, the decibel for
loudest
their fans is like woo. So have you been invited anywhere, LaShawn, or you just gonna be at home?
Yeah, I have been. I have several invites, but I'm gonna pass on all of them, of course, because Gemini needs some R&R. It's been a long week. It's been very hectic. And I want to,
very hectic.
I mean, I could turn, you can turn the page sometimes with your family. And most times, that's what I do, right? I hang out with my family more than anything. But this week, I think I'm just gonna,
that's cool.
Kind of just be with the kids.
So on that note,
make some food.
Take some Alka-Seltzer cold medicine, but it's been really wonderful, everybody.
God feel better. And, our prayers are with Rasha.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Yeah. Yes, they are. My condolences to her and all her family.
Yeah.
May her loved one rest in holy paradise. So, yeah. But on that note, I'm going to say goodbye. I'm signing off.
All right.
Okay. We'll see you next week, Dewey.
Okay. See y'all next week. God bless everybody. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So, Sakina, you have any last words?
Yeah, this was another intriguing, wonderful show. Thank you for having me. Right. I'm hoping that the StreamYard gets better as we go. But I blame it on the internet, because I was out. Mine was out all day, pretty much till about 4:30, I think it was. So, yeah. But again, this was wonderful. Yeah. So I know it's going to be a part 2, 3, 4, probably. That's what I said.
Yeah.
So peace to everybody, and thank y'all for having me again. This was wonderful. So I will see y'all this evening.
Yes. Oh, well, you know what? For your show, you want to sit here and let everybody know right now.
I have an awesome treat, and it's an honor. For my surprise guest. I'm gonna introduce them to some, and I'm gonna reintroduce them to the rest. Right, because this is a special honor guest for me tonight, y'all. Brother Reggie is going to be joining us, and he's going to reintroduce his proposal, the Black City Plan. And I'm triple excited, right? And so I cannot wait till tonight. So I need y'all to stay tuned.
What time is it going to be on?
I think it's 7:55. About 7:55.
7:15 or 7:55?
7:50. I think it says 7:55. 7:15. Yeah. But I just looked on it, so I think somewhere StreamYard might have bumped it. I think it says 7:55, but I know it was for 7.
Yeah, it should say 7:15. I'll go back and look at it too, and put it back to that time. Yeah, so 15 minutes is just to give people. Just in case you don't start on time, some extra time. But if we happen to start earlier, then there it is. We will sit here and start earlier.
Super duper triple X. I'm just excited all together, so he can explain this and just bring it to what this is. Yes, and say that part. We did not have a plan for Trump nor Harris. So yes, we definitely need to talk about a plan now. And that's exactly why I'm triple duper excited. Yes.
Agreed.
Yes.
Agreed. Yeah, I'm excited too. So 7:15, everyone tune in. And until then, thank you so much for tuning into Corporate Conversations with Gemini and all her co-hosts. There is Rasha, Real Talk Rasha. There is Dewey Reynolds and Sakina Ra. And until next week, have a good one.
Yes.